Ladies and gentlemen, what is up? I am back. It's your boy Birds in the Trap, back with another banger. Today, I'm giving my prediction for UFC 294 main event, alright? And guys, the reason this video took a little bit to get out was I didn't know what to think. You know what I mean? I haven't had weeks to prepare for this like I did for the Oliveira-Makhachev matchup. And, you know, I was sitting at work for a few days in a row, thinking about this fight, really taking in everything to account, and just processing what I think is really going to happen, alright? And I really want to go with my heart, okay? And my heart says Volkanovski, but I think we've been getting a little too many, just too much upsets recently, you know what I mean? I would love Volk to keep the streak going, but guys, let's get into this, alright? Alexander Volkanovski. Oh, by the way, if you guys missed the last video, the way we're doing predictions, okay, we go over where both fighters are in their careers, we go over how either guy can win, and then I give my final prediction, alright, you know what I mean? So, for Volkanovski, man, this is a do-or-die fight, okay? The odds are against him, you know what I mean? 12 days notice, not much of a camp at all, it's in Abu Dhabi. I'm sure the judging would be against him. The fans are against him. In Abu Dhabi, I feel like most fans are riding with Volk, but you guys get what I'm saying, okay? And he's putting it all on the line. You know, there's a good chance he could just, you know, likely beat Topuria and then get this fight again later. But, I mean, this man is taking it. The ball's on him, you know what I mean? I talked about this before. But I think if Islam finishes Volk here, I think Topuria would finish Volk. And I don't want to say this would start the slide, but it would kind of start the slide, man. And it would suck to see. Volk is 35 years old. Oh, he's got that going against him, being so young in a old, my bad. Being so old in a lightweight title fight. He's also got the cover curse against him. You know what I mean? But Volk is the type of guy, you're not going to let that happen. You're done. Okay. And also, if he loses this fight, it's done. The lightweight title aspirations are likely done unless he were to, you know, maybe vacate, beat a contender, and then someone that isn't Islam is the champion. I think that's the best way for him to get back to a title shot in the lightweight division. But, you know, I think he's ready to defend the wrestling because I think he knows Islam is not as strong as he thought. Now, granted, you're going to talk about the rehydration window, but I don't give a fuck about that. I don't think it's such a major factor where it's going to completely change Islam's strength. I'm sure Volk knows what to expect. And, yeah, I think that he'll be ready to defend the takedowns and, like, you know, break free from the clinch. If Islam gets on his back again, I don't think he'll be able to get out. I think he just won't have the strength to, due to the lack of a proper bulk up to lightweight. Which sucks, you know. I think if Islam gets him to the ground, the round is likely over. And then, you know, something that I don't think a lot of people are bringing up is he just fought Yair Rodriguez, who's a fucking monster on the feet, you know what I mean? One of the best offensive strikers in the UFC right now. And he beat him on the feet. All right, I know he ground and pounded him out, but that was after some brutal shots against the cage and a mean left-hand counter. Or was it a right-hand counter? I don't know. But he countered Yair on the feet. Alright, now, I'm aware that was after Volk had wrestle-fucked him for 2 rounds, okay? And I'm aware Volk won't be able to necessarily wrestle-fuck Islam, okay? But that's just something I think that is worth bringing up. I'm sure he'll be ready for anything Islam throws at him after fighting Yair, who's a freak of nature on the feet. I see a lot of people thinking that Islam is going to finish Volk, and I don't see that happening. I don't think Volk is the type of guy. I think he's just a little too strong and a little too mentally willing. You know what I mean? Unless it's literally the perfect shot, like a counter shot most likely, maybe a knee up the middle in the clinch. I just think Volk is not going to get finished. And I just hope Volk is going to be able to sit down on some shots and overwhelm Islam early. I don't think he'll be able to like one-shot KO him, but I'm sure if he wins this fight, it's going to be a TKO sequence of like a 10-punch barrage. You know what I mean? So that's where Volk is at. Of course, he's had a fight since the Islam fight, which Islam is not. I like that. Volk has been more active. So I'm not saying Islam hasn't been training, obviously, but he had a more recent training camp. All right. Yeah, let's get into Islam Makhachev, guys. I think Islam won the first fight. I'm okay with saying that. I don't think it was ever a robbery. I think it was a close fight that could have went either way. But upon rewatching, I'm more convinced than ever that I think Islam won 1, 2, and 4, with Volk winning 3 and 5. And I don't think he has as much to learn from that first fight to this one. I think he gave that fight his all. That was his chance to become pound for pound number 1. I'm sure that motivated the hell out of him to defend the title, all that. And he still couldn't get the finish. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. In the press conference today, he was talking like he let Volk go to a decision. I'm like, man, what fucking UFC fighter lets the fight go to a decision? These guys are looking for the finish at all times. Unless they're not, which I would just say that's a low fight IQ move, you know, unless you're going in the last round and you're up. But I can see Islam. I can't see him getting the finish, like I said, unless it's a perfect KO. I already said that too. Fuck. But I don't see the chance of a submission for Islam because of Volk's lack of a neck. And I'm sure Volk, you know, he's the top guy. He's been in these positions. He puts himself in the bad situations. And just one last point, guys. This has nothing to do with the fight. I think people are praising Islam a little too much for taking this fight. You know, they're being like, brother, Islam, he number 1 pound for... I'm like, man, I don't think he's not in the same position as Volk. You know what I mean? Already the lightweight champion. I think he has more to lose, but I don't think we should be being like, oh, you know, all this credit we're giving to Volk, we have to give it to Islam too. I'm like, you know, maybe if you're from his region or maybe share a similar religion, you're giving him that much credit. But, you know, I'm thinking, man, Volk is putting it all on the line. Islam, he's kind of in a lose-lose situation here, but I think it's more likely for him to win. So, and I think he knows that this is an easy fight due to Alexander coming off the couch. Now, how does either guy win? Okay, for Volk, it's got to be a finish. I don't think he can outpoint Islam. Ignore this slash right here. I don't trust an out-of-camp, short-notice Volk to win more than 2 rounds. I think he might get 1, but I think he needs a counter-heavy approach, okay? And he needs to just throw the fucking kitchen sink at him. You know what I mean? Technically do it. But I think that first round, you know, he's got to kick the shit out of the legs, land some body shots, try and get the guard as low as you can, as early in the fight as you can, and then just step in and let it rip. You know what I mean? He's going to have to take some risk, and there's no way around taking the risk, especially fighting someone like Islam Makhachev. So, you know, I think he might be able to find a read on Islam just like he did with Yair. I just watched that fight again, and he would go for the leg kick, he'd watch Yair throw the right, and then he'd counter him. I'm not saying Islam has that same pattern. I think Islam has a better fight IQ, but I mean, that's Volk's way to win, guys. That's how he has to do it. Islam needs to play it tactical in the early rounds. Those first 2 rounds is when Volk is going to be most dangerous, okay? Try to land the takedowns, try to evade the power shots, and I'm obviously assuming that Islam has better cardio right now. So if I'm Islam, if I'm in his camp, I'm telling him don't push for a finish right away, because then you're also putting yourself at risk. Because Volk is an amazing counter-striker, as much as Islam is. And when Volk has worn down and the power isn't quite the same, and when you can noticeably feel it, that's when Islam's got to pick it up. He needs at least the last 3 rounds, and he can never get too comfortable, especially with a man like Volkanovski right in front of you. And like I say, guys, he might have to stink it up for the first few rounds, you know what I mean? Keep Volk grounded, don't let him get anything off, and, you know, I hate to say it, but that's kind of got to be how you do it. All right? My final prediction, guys, I think Islam will win a unanimous decision, likely a 4-1. I can see a 5-0, but I think it's likely going to be a 4-1 for Islam. And I think people are counting out Volk a little too much to say he's going to get finished. I think Volk knows how to not get finished by Islam. He knows what to defend. You know, I think he's not going to get finished. But I'm praying for Volk to win this fight, guys. I'm not a Dagestani fighter hater. I don't hate them at all. I actually like Islam Makhachev. Although he is being a little annoying in this fight buildup. The press conference where he's talking about, brother, you just want the money, brother. I'm like, that's kind of some cope. Because I think he knows he wouldn't take a short notice fight. So he just can't fathom that another champion is. But that's what I think, guys. I'm not a Dagestani fighter hater. But Volk is the damn profile picture of this channel, okay? I'm rooting for him. I am. I'm gonna pray, just like I prayed for Sean Strickland to beat Adesanya, which he did, okay? And sorry, guys, I'm getting a little passionate about this, man. I want Volk to get this dub. I would love to see 2 belts on that man's shoulder. And the fucking BMF belt around his waist. They need to snatch that up from Gaethje, put it around Volk's waist while he has the 2 belts on his shoulders, okay? Yeah. My personal winning percentage for each guy is, I think this is a 60% win for Islam and a 40% chance for Volk. This is a close fight, my brothers, okay? It is. Now, I was going to go 51-49% to favor Islam, but, you know, if Volk didn't have this short of notice, if Volk had a full training camp, I actually think I would have picked him. But I just can't trust the 11 days notice. That's what gets it for me. And all the advantages being on the side of Islam. Okay, guys, I'm praying for Volk to get this done. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you all in the next one.